Rush and Nico Bellini.
Broadcasting from Angels Stadium, we are on the links. My name is Trent Rush, hanging out with Nico Bellini, as always, here inside our studios. Excited to be talking a little bit of golf here on a Sunday morning. Not much better than that. I got to tell you, Nico, a little story. Last night, Angels was a hard-fought game. All right, one of those games you felt like the Angels should win. I'm doing the post-game show. And the fans are not happy with how things went. And I try not to take it home with me, right? A tough loss. You don't want to bring your work home with you when you get home. I get home, I'm still pretty upset. Pour myself a little single malt, open up some books, start reading up on some golf architecture. I was into the Coore Crenshaw stuff last night. I got to tell you, all of a sudden my worries just go away. That is the beauty of this great game, when you kind of get into the weeds a little bit and dive in and talk about some of the stories of how things come to be in golf. I think is really fun, and also just the way that it comes together, the way it is made is really special. And I know that is something that we talk about often. I'm excited to do that on the air here today also. Nico, how have you been? It's been a week since I've seen you. Doing all right?
Yeah, I'm continuing my prep. I got 2 more weeks. The countdown's on. Going to New York, then to LA for the George C. Thomas. So I got a couple good mid-amateur events that I'm looking forward to. I say I'm prepping, but I haven't really been prepping, so I kind of need to start doing that. I have like 3 or 4 putters I'm experimenting. I still can't figure out which one I'm going to use. Although I don't know, it's going to be close when the tournament comes.
See, I was going to invite you to stay for the game today, but then you said like you're going to practice, and I'm feeling like me. I'm like, man, you haven't done anything in getting ready for these.
I know, I need to. Yeah, watching baseball probably isn't going to help me.
Yeah.
I need to go and practice and figure it out. I need to go play. I need to get some birdies, some rounds in me. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But sometimes, I've always discussed the whole paralysis by analysis. Maybe by stepping back a little bit and just playing the game. I've been doing this for 30 years, at a pretty high level from junior golf. So maybe I can rely on these instincts that I've always had and just get it done.
So for those that don't know, Nico Bellini, former SCGA champion, we were just discussing a moment ago, should have won back-to-back. I mean, you look at the list of great SCGA champions, and there are a lot of tour players on that list for sure. Tiger, most notably, a former SCGA champion. And that's one thing that we're going to be doing now here on this show. We really want to make a dedicated focus to spending more time talking about Southern California golf. We are in this incredible hotbed of what I think are some of the greatest courses in America. I think that you have some of the most talent in America right here in Southern California. And we want to continue to share those stories and talk about those places. And we're going to make a committed effort to doing that, so much so that we've had some communication with the SCGA themselves, and we're now working with the SCGA to help bring some of those stories to you. They're going to get us some great guests. And we're going to hear from, the winners of the Amateur Championship, we're going to have them on the air. The people that are designing the great courses out here. Like I know Santa Ana just had a remodel a couple of years ago. I want to know about that. I want to learn about that. Newport Country Club, where they play the Hogue every year. They are tearing the whole course apart and rebuilding it almost from scratch. A total redesign. I want to hear those stories. I just got word that at the stadium course out at PGA West, they're going to be taking a bunch of trees out, and they're doing some tweaks there. They're doing a little redesign out. I mean, those are some PGA courses here in Southern California, and we want to kind of know, you guys see the what, we want to know the why, and that's what we're doing here on the show. So I'm excited about that, Nico, and I would imagine for you, being a former champion, playing in, countless SCGA events, it's got to be pretty fun to be able to partner with them and be able to share some of the stories, because there's just such a rich history of golf here in SoCal.
I mean, the SCGA Amateur is one of the oldest, or maybe the oldest, I'm not sure, but amateur events in the country. I know the Met Amateur, or the Metropolitan Amateur over in the Northeast New York area, is, I believe, it's a little older, but the SCGA Amateur started in 1900. 1900 at, let me see, I got the stats right here. At LA Country Club was the first event held in 1900. And you got some incredible winners there, from Norman Macbeth, who designed Wilshire. He won a few times. George Von Elm, they call him kind of the Bobby Jones killer, because he was one of the few guys that took down Bobby Jones in his time. He won that at Lakeside. He won that at Flint Ridge Country Club, which doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. If you guys ever watch those old Bobby Jones videos where he drills the golf ball into the camera, a lot of that was filmed at Flint Ridge Country Club. Who else we got here? Alec Geiberger won it at Santa Ana. gosh, it's an incredible list of names here that the SCGA can prove. And then, of course, you got the modern day players like Mark File, I guess would be like a modern day player, Walker Cupper. You got Bo Hosser, won it twice, Cantlay, Nico Bellini. So there's good names, and it's a great event. And I'm glad we're partnering with them because now I can sort of push them a little more to try to really kneel it and open up those big LA courses. Because the SCGA Amateur used to be competed at the best events in the LA County area. And they since started expanding throughout the Orange County, Inland Empire area, San Diego County, to a lot of great golf courses.
Sure.
But the meat and potatoes are the LA Country Clubs and the Rivieras and the Bel Airs. Now, the SCGA wants to host them there, but it's not easy. A lot of those members there, they push back. So I've always been kind of, chirping at these guys like, hey, let's get Bel Air. It's like, hey, we're trying to get Bel Air.
Right.
And he used to be the current president of the SCGA Amateur. Wherever he was a member at is where they'd host the event. And I think that's changed. I'm not sure, but I believe that changed because there was a couple guys who weren't members anywhere, so they sort of held it at various courses. But that's how it used to run. That's how they used to like the golf courses. Current president or sitting president, his home club, they'd open it up. So
I'm so glad you mentioned Wilshire Country Club, by the way. That's a place that I love. I got such a great impression there. I have a really good feeling about that. And it's fun, like on the East Coast, like obviously, Charles Blair McDonald gets a ton of attention, Tillinghouse, Seth Rayner. On the West Coast, obviously, Alistair McKenzie gets a ton of love from being in that time period. But I think that you look at what Norman Macbeth did and his design. He was buddies with McKenzie and put it together. But that's a place that's like such a comfortable track, and that's part of what I love in a golf course: playability. I don't want to be killed by it being super long. I want a fun place where the membership isn't going to be overly stuffy. They're going to be cool and inviting and wanting participation. I think that that's part of it. And I've had a chance to be around some of the big clubs here in Southern California, and not nearly as many as you, but at the same time, like when you can find a place that is comfortable, that is great golf, and I also think that can maximize the land. That's where it starts, is the piece of property and what you're able to do with it. So like, you mentioned the name Norman Macbeth. That's an interesting name to me because not only is he responsible for being one of the first winners of an SCGA Amateur Championship, but at the same time, like he's also responsible for building, I think, one of the better courses out here in Southern California. And people aren't going to talk about Wilshire the same way they do about Riv or LA Country Club. It's not in that same class, but it's a comfortable place to be, and I think there's something to be said for that.
And what's unique and very cool about Wilshire is where it is, right? Because when you think of Bel Air and when you think of LA Country Club is still Beverly Hills, basically. It's kind of off in its own world. It's hard to get to. People don't really know where it is. Where Wilshire is in Hancock Park. It's off the 10 in Melrose. Like it is proper LA. So you're driving through some, sketchy areas, then a few nice streets, then all of a sudden, boom, you got Wilshire Country Club right there in the middle of Los Angeles proper. So and then you have that iconic ninth hole looking at the El Royale Hotel and the Hollywood sign. And I think that's one of those golf courses with the history of the LA Open tournaments. It's really been photographed over the years. I mean, you don't see that many photos of LA Country Club hosting LA Opens. You see quite a bit of Rancho Park, right? Rancho Park's
Sure.
a really cool property. But Wilshire is very iconic in the way it's been photographed. It's just a lot of memory built up, and there's a lot of photographic memory of that golf course. And Norman Macbeth, I think it's the only golf course he did.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of members enjoy it. I love it. A lot of golf course enthusiasts enjoy it because you're right, it's not overpowering. LA Country Club can beat you up. LA Country Club now, from the back tees, gosh, it's 7,400 yards. It at sea level, it
Right.
beats you up. Same thing with Riviera. Riviera's been extended. It's Kikuya. The fairways aren't that fast. They do release a little bit, but they're sticky. Where Wilshire's, I can go play it and hit driver mid-iron to short iron to wedge pretty much all day.
Sure.
It's a great daily play, walkable golf course. I always joke if I was a member of the LA Country Club, I'd rather play the South Course. Or not rather, but I'd probably play the South Course more often because it's just an easier course. You're not beating yourself up. And then when you have guests or friends and buddies over that want to play the big dog, the North Course, you head over that way. But yeah, Willitshire's it's got great little components for that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Hands just redid it.
Redid what?
The South Course. Not redid it, but
Yeah.
tweaked it.
Yeah, correct. And the North.
And the North.
Yeah.
To get ready for the U.S. Open this coming year.
Correct. They did it a few years back.
Right.
And they did both courses at the same time.
Okay.
The South went
I thought it was one than the other. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe. I'm not quite sure the timeline, but, you know, they may have kept the South while they were doing the North.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, opened the North and did the South kind of thing.
Right.
But the South went through a bigger change than the North. The North, they didn't reroute anything. The South, they did. They rerouted a few holes. They added a par 3 that I believe was, I think Jeff was saying that it was there before, but it's this cool little par 3, about 140 yards on a hillside. That, you know, it's a blind tee shot, but if you miss it right, it goes down into the Barranca. It's a really neat par 3. These guys did an incredible job. I like the South.
You said you're referring to Jeff Shackelford?
Correct.
So you were just telling me before we came on the air about a time where you played Rustic Canyon with him.
Yes.
And Jim Urbina.
Mm-hmm.
Going through a course that they built. I mean, what an incredible experience to go and see, like, when you're putting together a round of golf and you're with the architects, you get to hear the architect notes. Like, does that change the way you play?
Yeah, 100%. So with Jeff, you know, we're up there playing Rustic, and you know, for the listeners that have played Rustic, hole 16 is a par 4 down the hill, like kind of through a chute. He said when they were walking the property, that was the hole that stood out. Like, boom, here's the hole. Because a lot of times with that kind of property, it's a pretty unique property, Rustic Canyon. There's quite a bit of movement, actually, more than you think. So he says that we found 9, 10, 11 holes already. Like, we knew there's going to be 9, 10, 11 holes right around here. Then those last 6 or 7 holes are the ones you got to sort of fit, reroute. Do we shift these holes we want to do? And the clubhouse was supposed to be behind 16T. That's the highest point of the property. And I think 16 was going to be number 1. And then it was going to work its way back. And for whatever reason, you know, probably due to permitting, I don't know what it was, but they ended up moving the clubhouse down below. But 16, they said, was a natural. They didn't change anything. That hole is perfect.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great hole. So, you know, playing golf courses and hearing those guys' opinions of what they do, how they do it, why they do it, it is fun. And then you use your own mind.
Sure.
It's like, oh, what would I have done here? You know?
Well, I think that there is a element of spirituality that comes to golf that you can feel. And I'm a huge believer in walking every chance you can. I think the experience is so different. I actually just heard an interview. I think it was with Gil Hanse. I forget who did the interview, but part of the conversation was, hey, like, you could play the course at 55 miles an hour in a golf cart and you miss details, or you could feel it, you know, feel the grass underneath your toes and as you're walking about it, and just the entire experience changes. And I think that's one of the great things. Like, I know everybody's busy and everyone's trying to fit it in, and you don't want to have a slow round. I actually don't think that walking slows down a round of golf, unless you have a long way to go from green to tee. But I think that there is just so much beauty and so much magic that can happen, and you take it all in. Like, you're enjoying the game the way it should be when it is in this slower pace, and you can go and you look at the details. And, you know, for me I'm fairly new to golf detail. I've always been somebody that has kind of zipped my way around a golf course, and I try to bomb a driver and hit the ball as close as I can, and I'm not really concerned about any kind of design other than, is this in my way? Let me try to find a way to get through it. When you can stop and look around and appreciate the game in a different sense and understand it through the eyes of the architect, I think it opens up the game in such a deeper level. And that is something that hopefully we can, you know, get more of those stories told. But just in my game, when I'm able to play, how different my experience is when you're thinking about different parts of a golf course, features that, you know, maybe it's a trap that's there because you're trying to challenge the hole, or maybe it's penalizing. There's a lot of different ways that you could use different features on a golf course. So I think that the game changes your perspective in the way that, like, how do you get mad when you just kind of, the architect put that there, I made the mistake, I went in that spot, okay, well, I don't want to do that the next time, as opposed to, man, what's wrong with me today? I'm hitting it all over the place, and then you're just getting upset. And I think the faster you play, the more upset you can get. I know that it got a little soapboxy there for a second, but at the same time, I do think that there is such a value to slowing down, taking the game in, and being able to enjoy it the way that it was meant to be.
You know, a few things on your points there. One, what is something that's very important when you're playing, right? It's the camaraderie of your colleagues and your buddies. So when you're in two carts, you're not really spending that much time together. You know, you're riding in separate carts. You're not chit-chatting down the fairway. That's a huge part of golf. As a foursome, just striding down those fairways together, just talking about life and whatever it is. Those are valuable moments because then you end up breaking off and someone goes to his tee shot on the right and the left and whatever it is. Then you regroup, walk down to the green, etc. throughout the entire golf course. When you're in a cart, you're only really talking to the guy you're with. The other two carts, you know, you might not see him. The only time you see him is the tee and the green. You know, so there's not really much camaraderie being developed. A story starts, then you got to get back in your carts and go on your separate ways. You lose sidetrack. And walking, you know, it blows my mind. It's an American thing, riding in carts. My home club in Argentina, the Hurlingham Club, no carts. Founded in 1865, it's an old English club. Polo, cricket, lawn tennis, no carts. Not one cart path on the property. And let me tell you, when there are no cart paths, you notice it. It changes. It's what golf is meant to be. There's no cart paths. And I don't get it. I don't understand. When I push back at various clubs, I'm like, you know, why do we have carts? Oh, Nico, we can't do no carts. It would never work here. How does it work everywhere else in the world?
Yeah.
But here, especially on the smaller properties. You know, you go to these old English clubs or Latin America, there's no carts. 5 people have carts with severe handicaps, and they have to buy their own golf cart, store it there, and it's not, you know, it's not a modern day golf cart.
Look, if you need a cart to play,
yes,
that's different.
That's fine.
That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that just kind of want to just zip through, and I think that you lose the appreciation for the game in such a significant way. Like for me, and I've done this forever. When you're standing on the tee box and you're looking at windows where you want to hit your shot, and you're looking at the course in a different way and trying to see, okay, how do I want to play this hole? In a cart, I do that a lot on the tee box. That doesn't change. But a lot of times when I'm looking at my second shot and I'm thinking about it the whole walk through, when I'm walking up the fairway, or in my case, walking into the rough or the trees, trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of myself, how am I going to get out of this mess, that is the time where in a cart, maybe you're not thinking about that as much. Maybe you're just trying to zip and how am I going to get to the green? What am I going to take? As opposed to taking in all of the features of a hole and just a greater appreciation for the design. I think that when you play the greater courses, and I think you can also understand the nuance even in the less popular courses. And why did a designer that you've never heard of make the decision to put that bunker there? You think about those things when you're walking that maybe you don't if you're just zipping around.
So, something my dad always told me about playing golf and approaching the greens. As you're walking up to the green, imagine it's raining. And where is the water going to drain to? You can't get that in a golf cart, right? In a golf cart, you pull up next to it or like around behind the bushes or whatever it is they're trying to hide the cart path. But when you're walking, he always said the last 20 to 30 yards, you see your ball, you see the flag, it's on the green. If it rained, where's it going to drain? Find your low point, find your high point. Now, before you even get to your ball, you have a general idea of the slope of the green and what your putt's going to do, right? So you're already ahead of the game. And how annoying is it when you park next to a green, your ball's just off the green. But me, I use all my clubs when I'm chipping. When I say all my clubs, from a 7-iron to a 60. And I don't know what shot I'm going to hit until I've analyzed the lie, the conditions, the green speed, the slope, what shot I'm going to hit. So I hate just grabbing 7 clubs from my bag because I don't even know what I'm going to hit. Then you get there and you realize I don't have the right club. You go back, you got to go back and grab the other one. Where I want to have my whole bag with me the entire time. You know, I played with a friend of mine. He founded a company called Geom Golf, Geom, and he makes putters and irons, and he makes a short set. And you know, he does like you can do whatever you want, but he has it like a 60, a 50, a 40, a 34, degrees. Because I had him down here a couple years back, and we played golf, and he only had 6 clubs in his bag. He's a guy I kind of strive to be. I want to be. I talk like I'm him, but I'm not him. I want to be him.
Sure.
He shows up, and it's us two, and we got two more, and I ask him, hey, you want to play a little game? He goes, Nico, I haven't kept score like in 5 years. To me, that's what I want to be. Golf is, you're going for a walk in a park, and you just happen to be playing a sport at the same time. Because that's what golf is. That's what it was, when the Dutch and the Scots found it in the trading. Right. They'd walk to and from town, just whacking away a ball to kill time. And that's what golf in its purest essence and form is. You're chit-chatting with your buddies, hitting shots, not caring what score you shoot. Like surfing. When you go surf, you're not competing with your buddy. You're just out there just like surfing. You're out there catching waves. Like you're not worried about, you want to catch good ones. You want to hit good shots, but you don't care about the outcome.
Well, and I think that there is a competitive element to the game, which is a little different. It's a little different than surfing in that way. But I get what you're saying. And we've had this conversation on the show before, but it's worth having again. That, when you think about the way the Scots would play, it was match play only, or different games of that such. Yeah. And you would...
No numbers, no scores.
You would keep track of your strokes once a month just to maintain your handicap so you knew what to get when you were playing in competition with your friends. That's what it was. It didn't matter, I broke 80 today, all right? And really, who cares, right? It's you want to have the camaraderie with your friends, and that's the reality of it. And if you're good enough to go play in real competition, then sure, the number matters. But I think the less, and I just know from my own experience, the less I have cared about the number, the lower the number has been.
Yeah.
And I don't, and there are certain things that if you think about the game and you slow down and you go through the process, you can become such a better player even without fixing anything about your game. Like what you just said a moment ago about the rain. If it's raining, where is the water going to go? You find the high point, you find the low point. That right there, how many people out there would that not save, 5 shots around? Just thinking about that, nothing else. And that's the kind of thing that can happen. And it can take an average player from having a frustrating day to having a great day. I think the difference of 3 or 4 shots. And I think if you see the game differently, appreciate it a little bit differently, it opens up those doors. And again, that's part of why, I think Jeff Shackelford would be a great person to have on this show, to be able to discuss some of those things. That when you go to Rustic Canyon and he goes and he finds one great hole, okay, where are you going to put you find one great hole and you have another 11 you really like, okay, what am I going to do and try to find the other 6? How am I going to do that to put together an 18-hole course that is as great as Rustic Canyon? Rustic Canyon is a great spot. I think it's fun to look at how some of those decisions get made, and you really get into the idea of digging. I've talked about this a lot. For whatever reason, my trip to Bandon Dunes when I went last September, it changed my whole outlook on the game of golf. And I know that Mike Kaiser continues to invest in minimalist play and that kind of design. And he's the guy that built it up there. But for whatever reason, to me, that guy is almost more important than Tiger Woods is to me in terms of the way I appreciate the game. I like watching the PGA on TV. I love the courses and the tournaments when they're here. I love all the Southern California events. The West Coast swing is one of my favorite parts of the year. I don't miss a major. At Colonial this week, am I super locked in? Not really. I'll watch a little bit. I'm a big Jordan Spieth fan. I try to watch Jordan as much as I can. But at the same time, I care a lot more about how these guys are getting ready for the U.S. Open, more so than I actually care about what this week is going to look like.
Let me jump in regarding Jordan Spieth, because I wanted to discuss this.
Let's do it now.
Did you see that swing last week at the PGA? There was a video they put of Jordan. He's got this new move he's rehearsing, and I can see what he's doing, and he hit the shot, and I was like, I know exactly what you just went through. So he's working on laying the club down and swinging left, right? That's what you want. Everybody wants to be Hogan through impact, or the club and the hands are exiting low left, or high left. And that left shoulder's ripping around, the right shoulder's turning through, and it's exiting left with a square face. Okay. Guys like Jordan, and I'll throw myself in there, Ricky Fowler, like Mickelson, there's a longer release. You kind of swing out and flip a little bit. But then you have guys who really keep it in tight, like old Tiger, Hogan, and they have that square release club head. And that looks prettier because it looks like you're not flipping. And he hit the shot on that par 3, number 11. He's sitting there rehearsing, swing left, swing left, swing left. And he gets up to the top, and he's fighting Jordan Spieth. He's fighting himself. And he hit one of the worst iron shots I have ever seen. I mean, 30 yards short right. Because he wants to swing left, but right before he comes down, he's like, it's just not me. And he's lost in between. And I know he's been playing better, but boy, that just really, go find that swing if you guys are listening. There's his shot on number 11 at Southern Hills. I don't know what round, but he's rehearsing, and he just loses it. One of those accounts like Zaire Golf or Golf Balling on Instagram reposted it about knowing the struggle, and boy, it was brutal.
Isn't that the beauty of Jordan, though? The beauty of Jordan is he is us. I mean, the conversations, when you can hear him, he fights with himself. He labors over every shot with his caddy and goes through it in different situations. He gets mad at himself on the course. He talks about it. He's yelling at the ball. He's us.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the appeal. I think that's why so many people were drawn to Phil Mickelson.
Correct.
I think it's a lot of the same things. Now, the difference is he's a lot better than most of us. But that being said, I think that there is a level of relatability. And I think maybe that's why I get sucked in. I love the struggle. I love that watching a player that had tremendous success and then have to go down to the depths and find it and try to get back. Man, I love getting in deep and working through the struggle. I think that's the beauty of it.
Henrik Stenson couldn't win his club championship in Sweden. He got the yips with the driver and 3-wood. Well, he got the yips with the driver. That's why to this day he still primarily hits 3-wood off the tee. Got the yips with his driver. And for that, once you get that and it creeps in your game, you might recover from it, but you never fully recover. And for him to go on and win the Open Championship and have a borderline Hall of Fame career after the yips is incredible.
It really is. Anyway, this is a half-hour way of saying we're excited. We're going to be dealing with the SCGA, and we're going to be looking forward to telling a lot of their stories and doing that here on this show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing that. Of course, I always encourage people, go get a handicap. If you don't have a handicap yet, you should. I think for one, it's fun, with your friends to keep have an idea of what your score is. It's not very expensive. I think it's $60 for the year. Find a local club. And you can get involved in a lot of the activities. I'm signing up. I already did sign up. I'm going to play in the amateur net 4-ball, which I have not played competitive golf in 15 years. And I am super excited for this because I'm ready to get a little competitive juice. Now at the same time, I don't think I've played around in 2.5 months, but I am still looking forward to getting involved in this because I think it's fun just to get a little taste of the competition. Now, the net 4-ball is a far cry from the SCGA Amateur Championship. Okay, it's apples and oranges. That being said, don't want to hit them under here. Still looking forward to being a part of something, competing a little bit. I'm not that great, but I think it's still going to be fun to go out there with a buddy of mine and go try to tee it up and hit with some good players and see what happens. You never know. That's the beauty of this. All right, short time out. When we come back, Nico and I have a whole lot more to discuss about some great clubs here in Southern California. We're going to dive a little deeper into Nico's schedule, getting ready to go for some big events coming up here in SoCal. He's Nico Bellini. I'm Trent Rush. This is On the Links. We are on the links here on a Sunday morning in Southern California. A great place to be today. Maybe you're playing some golf out there. Hope you are. And maybe you're done with your round. Hopefully you took some cash off your friends and you're hanging out with us here on the radio. He's Nico Bellini. My name is Trent Rush. Nico was just teasing me in the commercial break about getting set for my amateur net 4-ball championship. I'm in a qualifier. We're going to be playing at Rec Park. It's just it's like the ground floor, I think, of competitive golf, but I am still very much looking forward to it. So Nico, what would be your handicap today?
+4.
Okay, so you're +4.
Mm-hmm.
I am, so I have to take, I'm a 7.6 right now.
Okay.
Which is, I do not like that. I think I'm no better than a 10. But the way they do it, you have some good rounds in there, and you have a good round on a tough course, it kind of screws up your handicap. So that's where I'm at. So if we were to play and we're matching up with each other and I'm getting 11 shots.
Probably 12.
Or 12 shots, I don't have any confidence. any confidence.
That's a lot. Depends on the golf course. It'd be hilarious if I signed up for that net 4 ball. It's like another scratch player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because what we were just talking about is that, yeah, I'm giving you a lot of pops, but you're going to be nervous. If you know a little bit about golf and you show up and it's whatever, I'm not tooting my own horn, but a scratch player.
Well, no, and look, for those that don't know, Nico, you've played European Tour, you've played all over the world. Would you have like a 15-year professional career, former top amateur at USC? I mean, it was like you've had a very great golf career.
It'd be great to step up on the tee versus you. It's like you're getting 10 pops or 11 pops or whatever it is, but you're going to be pretty nervous.
No doubt.
I think I wonder if anybody's ever won this net 4 ball as like a scratch or below. I'd be kind of curious.
I would love to see you go. I would love to see you sign up as a +4, giving the field at least 4 shots in the net before you even get started.
Well, and then you play 80% of your handicap.
Right.
So,
right. It's not you can't truly sandbag.
Okay, so if you're a 10, you'll be playing to an 8. So what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
If I'm a +4, do I play to a +2 like that?
Or see that net. Now
or
all
do
of a
I
sudden
stay to a +4? I'd probably just stay to a +4.
I would think so. I would think that if you're. But I think that rule is probably safe because if you're a plus handicap, you're not going to participate in any net events. Why would you?
That'd be good to document that. Just all the little like rattle and change in my pocket, just trying to get in every competitor's head to have them fall apart.
I mean, you don't need to reveal all the secrets right now. But like if we were to play, and I don't know how this has happened, but we have done this show for like over 6 months and we still haven't played together. It's going to happen one of these days. Maybe I'll win a charity auction and be able to play with you one of these times. Maybe I'll have to buy my way onto the course, try to figure that out. But like, you talk like intimidation factors. Like is this like a real thing? Is this something that like you see like in mid-am events, like people trying to get in people's heads? Is there like the game within the game?
No, I don't think there's a game within a game, but there is an intimidation factor. I mean, we all saw it with Tiger in his prime.
Right. How
people would fall apart playing with him. I get it. You know, I remember when I turned pro, I wasn't gung-ho because I had like a rough start to my professional career, and I'd go play with a couple tour players, and you try to kind of show off to them and impress them, but you got scars. You know, you have scar tissue in there. You got bad memories of bad golf shots. So, yes, in the mid-amateur world, I think there is that bit of lore, but you can, have a sippy cocktail on the 4th hole and kind of take that edge off a little bit. So
yeah, I mean,
that probably helps.
Well, and that's the beauty of like the mid-am circuit too. It's like, nobody needs it.
Yeah.
Everyone does it because they like it. They like the competition, but nobody's there because they need it. Anyway, want to shift gears for just a moment because we have been taking a lot of time, spending time talking about the golf course, talking about architecture. Nico has given in and allowed me to share some stories on that front because that's become a big passion of mine. But at the same time, like I know, Nico, you're a gear guy. Like I know you are. Like I am not. I have no idea what's in my bag. They're hand-me-down clubs. I just try to do the best I can with them. I know that you see the game very differently and are very interested in your equipment. And you've been talking about lately on this show a new putter and a new way that putter is being weighted. So like, what can you say about that and how that process is going?
So I played in the Kelly Cup about a month ago at Lakeside. And it's a tournament my dad always played, and it's an incredible event at a great club, and it's a good hang.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I putted with a Napa-style putter. So Scotty Cameron, I have this Napa Scotty Cameron blade that Paul Vizenko built for me down Scotty. And it's been my baby ever since.
Yeah.
And it's always in the rotation. Somewhere, in the bags in the rotation. I might have like 5 putters that I'm sort of circling through, or they're my immediate kind of ones that pick up. You're at home, you pick it up, it's like, man, this thing feels good all of a sudden. And it felt great. And when I hold a blade putter, like it's meant to putt. It's meant to, when you're walking around, stalking, reading the greens, and I have a blade putter in my hands, I'm at harmony with golf. Because this is what golf was meant to be. A blade putter, just me, no technology, no aim points, none of that stuff. Just find the read, where does it drain, and make the putt. And I putted terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Like it was, I've never lost this much confidence on the golf course. I mean, I still played whatever. I finished 9th in the Kelly Cup or whatever it is, but I lost a lot of my confidence. I was just trying to two-putt because the greens are running 13s, and there's a lot of what we call up and overs, where if you have like a 25-footer, the first 15, 20 feet is uphill. and the last 5 feet is downhill. So it's one of those, you got to hit it hard enough to crest the hill, but then not too hard where it takes off on you. So I felt like every putt, if I didn't hit it perfect and it wouldn't crest the hill, now I got a 6-footer for par, or if I hit it with a little too much speed, it trickles 9 feet by. It's just hole after hole, and I was getting so frustrated, and I felt so good putting with it. So anyways, Scotty Cameron went back in the closet. Still going to be there because I pick it up, it always feels good, but I started experimenting with weighting technology. So I was really lucky. I got to play with Freddie Couples the day when I played the last round at Lakeside, the Kelly Cup. I flew home, just drove home very fast, and I played that afternoon at St. Anne with Freddie. And Freddie had this Bettinardi. He's always used this kind of Bettinardi. It's not a belly putter. It's just a little longer than a standard putter. It's like 38 inches, I think it is. And I played with his good friend Don Du Bois, who's a great player from Big Canyon, former Cal State Amateur champion. And they both had the same Bettinardi putter. Don's had a slant neck, and Freddie's had a flow neck. And that was it, the same head. And the head is, I think it's like a prototype head for Bettinardi, but imagine a Scottsdale Answer or a Newport head, but just fat and long. Scotty makes a couple versions now, but this was unique to Bettinardi, and had a very thin sole. So on the 5th hole, I asked Don, I was like, hey, can I roll your putter? He's like, sure. And I rolled it, and I was like, man, this thing feels incredible. Ended up shooting 66 that afternoon, using his putter. I asked him, Don, and Fred was like, hey, I got a bunch of Bettinardis if you want to use one. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, do I get his number? And
Right,
like,
exactly.
hey, can I swing by to the house afterwards and pick it up? You mind? Can your wife come out and drop it off in the front? I don't know how that works. So Don's like, yeah, I got a bunch of Bettinardis too. Go to Don's house. They're not the same Bettinardis. They're different ones. I was like, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I'm still going back to my old traditional TaylorMade Soto putter that I threw a weight in the middle of the shaft. It's like a 50-gram weight from a Super Stroke grip, and I shoved it in the middle of the shaft. And that's always been my gamer for the last 4 years. So then Don texted me out of the blue about a week ago, says, hey, Nico, you still want to try that putter? I was like, absolutely. Because he has 2 of them, but he has his gamer and his backup. He goes, well, guess what? I'm using my backup is in the bag now. So if you want to use that gamer, you can come use it. So I flew over there.
For sure.
And grabbed that putter. So right now I got that Bettinardi is 4 degrees aloft, which I like. That's a little bit more than standard. Standard aloft, what you see is about 2 degrees, 1, 2, 3 degrees. This one's 4 because I like to have a little bit of forward press in my setup and in putting and in chipping. Everything. I want my hands a little ahead of the ball for a standard shot. It's 37 inches, so it's a little longer. He doesn't have a counterweight in there, but there's just something about that putter I really enjoy because I naturally choke up a little bit. So the grip acts as like a little counterweight. And anyways, I got this Bettinardi one off from Don that, I mean, it must be 370 grams. Like, it's a pretty heavy head.
Yeah.
Most standard heads today are about 340, 330 to 340. You get 350 or some heavy, but this one's like 370. So it's a pile down there. And it's feeling good. So for now,
So
I should have waited until...
So the idea being, instead of just feeling like it's just so heavy, like your blade now feels like a mallet, you're just kind of dispersing the weight differently, so you're not putting as much pressure down on the
Correct.
the bottom.
So here's the theory, right? If swing weights, right, they range from C, D to E, right? You always hear people talking about D1, D2, D3, D4, right? Most tour players play D4 swing weights. Swing weight and overall weight are 2 different things. So you can have a club that, weighs as light as this pen, but it can be swing weighted as a D4. But the overall weight is heavier or lighter.
Interesting.
So my TaylorMade putter that I've been using for a while, this TaylorMade Soto putter, the swing weight is probably D2, D3, somewhere in there, but the overall weight is a pistol. Like, it is so heavy, this thing, because I countered it with, weight on the grip. Because if you have too much head weight, if you make like an E5, just this mallet at the end of a shaft, when you go on really fast greens, guess what? You need to recruit those little fast twitch fiber muscles.
Yeah.
You got to recruit more of them to move that putter. I talked with Greg Hopkins a lot about this, the old president from Cleveland Golf, about heavy versus light. The heavier putter you use, the more muscles you got to recruit, little tiny fiber things to get that putter moving. And that, that can certainly add or help with that little twitchiness that you have. So with a lighter putter, you're just barely holding on. Like, you ever flip the putter around and you hold on to the head and just stroke the shaft? That's, funny term, but you never have any issues with it being too light. It feels nice, right? You don't yip it through because it's so light. When you have a heavy putter, you got to get it going. You got to start the engine, all right? And that kind of recruits those forearm muscles. Next thing you know, you start developing little yippy strokes. So there's a fine line, and you got to find that balance.
I'm in the putter market. I feel like I might need to take you down to Roger Dunn and go through everything, because I'm trying to find something. And to me, the idea that the weight and where the weight is in the shaft would have never crossed my mind, because I would think that, like, with putters, like, driver technology is insane. Putters are putters. Like, how much can they really change? And I understand that there are a lot of people that would say differently, that they can a lot, and maybe the weight is part of it. But to me, the most important piece of equipment when it comes to putting is between my ears.
Yeah.
And it's confidence.
It always will be.
Yeah.
It always will be. I mean, you have guys like Ben Crenshaw, use a blade putter for most of his career. He didn't go with the technology. And you still have a few guys out there that use simple putters. But I did read a stat somewhere that like 80% of the tour players are using mallet putters now.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, someone told me that, or read it. I don't know what it was.
See, because a mallet, it just doesn't look good to me. It doesn't feel right. It just, like what you just said, like when you're talking about your Scotty Napa blade, like the idea of how you are just in harmony when you have that on the natural part of the golf course and all that. And trust me, I'm not out there playing hickories. I'm not a U.S. Hickory Open champion like my partner Nico over here. But that being said, like, there's something to, like, my thought process of, like, no, like, how could there even be anything other than a blade? Like, I just need a blade. That's what I got to play. So I guess now, kind of the same way you said it was Jordan Spieth fighting Jordan Spieth, I guess this is Trent Rush fighting Trent Rush. Yes, that's part of it.
And if I wasn't playing competitive golf, that Napa would always be in the bag.
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't be nervy over putts.
Yeah, I think I'm nervy. I'm nervy over almost every putt. There was about 3 years ago, there was no putt that I felt good with.
Just wait till I get in tournament play. Because I always equate golf to, right, walk in that 2x4, that plank that's 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to do. Now lift that 100 feet. It's the same act, but now you're 100 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same.
Yeah, you're shaky.
Yeah.
That's why I played high school golf. I hated it. I wasn't any good. It just wasn't. It wasn't fun. I was too worked up. Like, I couldn't enjoy it. Now I love it. I'm obsessed with this game.
And that's why a lot of the former tour players and guys like myself, like, I don't really care to go play big money games anymore, because I'm done stressing with golf.
Yeah.
I'm done just.
You don't need that.
I did it for 25 years, where every 4-footer I was grinding over. And not that I had to grind over a 5-5-10 game, but you get into the games or 50-50 hundreds, that kind of stuff. I'm like, guys, I don't want to take your money. I don't want to, fleece you for $350 on a Saturday. Like, oh, hey, that was fun, guys. Hey, you owe me $350, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, that's just that takes away a lot of the speed of the game.
You know what I think is such a perfect example of that? Scotty Scheffler's 4-putt on 18 at Augusta to win the Masters. I mean, it was over. He had a 1, right? But he's standing over, like, he missed the little tap, and what was it, a 5-footer that he missed that would have been for a 3-putt, and he left himself like another 3-footer. And, like, you saw him take a breath, because how many times in life have you said, like, hey, okay, this putt to win the Masters, and, like, he just had it and missed it. And now, I mean, you could tell, like, he was a little shaky over that. And he had been so rock solid for 71 and a half holes that you get to that last one. And now all of a sudden, like, and it was done. Like, I think he could have missed that and still missed another and still won the tournament. But it was funny how on that stage, all of a sudden you have your 4th putt on the green is a 3-footer with nobody near you, but it's still to win the Masters. It's just your brain has to go to a different place.
There was, look at Will Zalatoris. I mean, people are now very aware of his putting stroke. And Stuart Hagstad years ago told me about Will. They played the Walker Cup together at LA Country Club. We were kind of going through each player about Colin Morikawa and Scotty Scheffler and Will Zalatoris. I mean, that's a stout Walker Cup team there. And he said that
That's unbelievable.
He said Will had the yips. I was like, no, what do you mean? He's on the Walker Cup team. He goes, no, it's weird. He makes putts, but it's hard to watch. And we just saw it. So all this training and teaching and truth boards and, having the perfect stroke. And then you see a guy like Will Zalatoris, whose stroke makes you cringe, but it works. Who cares? If you can repeat it, it works. And his stroke, he yips it the same way. I don't know, this doesn't make any sense. But the stroke he has when he's nervy and under pressure, it kind of repeats itself. He kind of jerks it inside, pauses, loops it around the pretzel putt, and strokes it, and hits it slightly on the toe.
Yeah.
But he kind of does it all the time. So if you know that and recognize that,
you know how to read it.
I used to joke that when I practice, I should practice mistakes. And my buddy was like, well, what do you mean practice mistakes? I'm like, well, putting, for example. No matter what you do in life, everything you do, me picking up this cup of coffee, if I do this 10 times in a row, every single time the message being sent from my brain to the hand to pick it up is going to be slightly different. Every single time for the rest of my life, right? How it works, the neuropathology, whatever. It's always going to be a little different. So in putting, why am I trying to rehearse a perfect stroke when every single time it's not going to be perfect? So I was joking around. I still haven't done it. I should do it. I would hit 25 footers or 35 footers. 10 of them taking it outside and looping it in. Another 10 taking it inside, looping it out, and then 10 trying to take it straight back. So then when the pressure comes, right, and I have a 4-footer, and you take it back, and you suddenly take it back outside, you've already sort of practiced how to manipulate, just like Jack Nicklaus talked about 17 at Pebble Beach when he won the U.S. Open. He took it back slightly shut. It's too late now. This all happens, right, quickly. And he just he knew it was shut, and it's all instinctively, and he just leaned into it, slid into it, and hit a block draw.
Do you ever take a putt back and you're like halfway and you're like, oh no, this is
every
horrible.
time.
And
All the time.
how am I going to be able to fix this when I'm coming through? And
Yeah.
like that's.
But you don't stop.
No. You have to try to correct it as you go.
You just kind of pretzel it. You know, you just pretzel it a bit. But there's
That
something
makes,
to that.
I feel so much better you saying that. Let me tell you, I feel so much better that you saying that it's just not me dealing with this by myself. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, a final thought. We finished 18 holes. It's the 19th hole when we come back. He's Nico Bellini. I'm Trent Rush. This is On the Links. We are on the links here on a Sunday morning. He's Nico Bellini. I am Trent Rush. 18 holes in the books. I think I got Nico today. Maybe. First time. I don't know. 19th hole. Here we go. Nico, you're getting set to play in some competitive events. I wish people could see the stare that I just got when I said I think I got Nico.
Yeah, what do you mean
today.
you got me? I was trying to figure out, what'd you get me?
I felt like I don't know. I thought
Did I get got?
I thought maybe I thought there was maybe a chance that like I could actually the idea of me beating you at golf is impossible. So I'm like hoping like for the best that maybe today, I don't know. There's maybe a stupid thing to say. Like there's a chance of that.
With my putting, with my current putting situation, yes.
Okay. Speaking of that, you have big events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What is you said you're gonna practice today? Like what is a practice day today like for Nico Bellini?
Much different than it was when I was playing full time. I read a really unique story about Ben Hogan, and he always said you got to build the swing from the ground up. And you always got to swing your swing. That sounds very redundant. But whatever you think works for you, you got to go with it. And that Jordan Spieth clip I talked about earlier, and I showed you about him trying to swing left, I sort of fell in that same boat. And I can never do it, and I never will do it. So I don't want to try to, mimic that action and swing left and square. So what I do on days like today, I don't have all the time in the world. I try to play 9 holes, actually. I'll warm up and go play 9, or I'll go hit balls, but you always want to go touch on short game and putting. But for the golf swing, it's going to be rhythm, very simple rhythm. Short game, I'm going to go play a little game at 21, up and down. I'll go find one of the little kids out there and try to take them for $10. And for putting, like I said, if I can hit a 5-footer straight up the hill in the middle of the cup, that's all I need to do. That's what putting is.
I love it. I feel like I get better every just listening to your prep. Like, okay, cool. Like I feel better about like my own self hearing the work you're going to put in because I'm not putting in that same work. It's just not going to happen. But I'd like to. Nico, this was fun today.
Absolutely.
Excited about this. Excited about partnership with the SCGA. Looking forward to telling more stories because, golf is a beautiful game. And I'm looking forward to sharing more of that as the show continues. For Nico Bellini, I'm Trent Rush. This has been On the Links.